It is our second preview, our first on the road. We are in sunny Bordeaux, which is fantastic and feeling increasingly Mediterranean as we get closer and closer to Spain for the Champions League final. Liverpool versus Tottenham, Champions League final, back to back. Craig, you could get used to this, couldn't you?
I could. We were saying yesterday, like, imagine when we were on that bus last year, getting off that bus after a grueling trip to Kiev and back. You'd said to us, lads, you're doing all of this again. You're going again, and you're going on a bus to Madrid.
Would you have had it in you at that point?
At that point, I wouldn't have. I'd made promises to myself and to the others on that bus that I would never step foot on it again. And then after a few days, all I wanted was bus life back again. And here we are. Bus life where time isn't a thing, where you drink beer instead of water, and you smash the content, basically. We're going to have loads for you.
We've got loads and loads to come on this show and then beyond. Ian, the first thing about this is, the exciting part is that this Liverpool side is one that you're getting to watch one more time. This season goes one more game, and to get the biggest prize in club football, and it's what these lads deserve. I think you've got to be careful using words like deserve around football. You could say Liverpool deserve the league, but you could say Man City deserve the league. Liverpool, though, they deserve to win one of the two key prizes this season. They've still got to do it. It's still going to take a lot of winning.
I think you're right, and I think something Kenny said on the recent interview with Gibbo is that you can say you deserve it all you want, but you've still got to go and earn it. And Liverpool have got one more chance to go and earn it. And I think that'll be the mentality. I think there'll be a lot about harnessing what happened last year in Kiev. You know, a lot of the lads have spoken about the hurt and the pain and the flight back, and you know what the mood was like. And I think they'll be using that just to kind of fine-tune themselves before they go into this game on Saturday, which is career defining, it's life defining for some of these fellas. So, you know, we can't downplay it at all.
The manager referred to them as mentality monsters, and one of the things he actually said in the run-in was they were saying he's being asked, how do you get them up, and he's like, I've got to get them down. And that's one of the things I wondered if that's part of why Marbella has been a thing, is he's almost got to find a way to chill them out as much as anything else. I mean, I don't see Liverpool freezing at all on the big occasion, and I see, if anything, my worry is almost Liverpool are so determined to win the right to play, they forget to play. I'm almost more worried about that they'll be so desperate to win the battle that they might not win the war, if you almost know what I mean. That's my only real concern about the mindset going into the game, is that they're almost too ready, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because I think, you know, whilst you want them to be energetic, you want them to fly into it to some degree, finals are a time for calm heads as well. You've got to be calm, you've got to remain calm. There'll be moments, there'll be big moments, there'll be moments where you face a bit of pressure, you're under the cosh. You know, Spurs will undoubtedly have a spell in the game where they are good. You know, Liverpool are a better side, we know that. The league table tells us that. 97 points tells us that. But at some point, Spurs have got players where, you know, you know they're going to be in the game at some point. They are going to create one or two chances. Liverpool have to remain resolute and robust during those periods. And for me, there's no doubt they will, because I think, you know, there's so many lads here who will be desperate to put some wrongs right, and it's all set for one hell of a football match on Saturday night.
We're excited, and we're right to be excited. They'll be excited themselves. There's so many of them who, you know, arguably the big game player is the one who doesn't have anything to prove. Is Mane. The rest of them, when I say something to prove, what I mean is the idea that it's their time to shine. Mane has actually scored in the Champions League final. We forget that because we forget the goal. You know, he scored in so many big games, but then you look at Salah, you look at Firmino. Fabinho never got to the final with Monaco. He'll want to take this opportunity that's now in front of him. You know, you go right the way through. You think about last year with Madrid, everything they've done across these two seasons, Craig. I really do think Liverpool are going to be. I'll be stunned if they're anything but raring to go.
It feels like Jurgen Klopp's reign's been building to this game, and what I mean by that is, and it would have been easy to say that last year, but what I mean by that is, last year it sort of felt as if we rid this wave where we got to the final and we were delighted. We were just happy to be in the final. I can't believe we're in the Champions League final. I think this year, this team have now decided that they deserve to be there, they should be there, and this time we're going to win it. We're not just going to sort of, you know, hope that we win it and hope we can get something against Real Madrid. It's we're going there to win this. And I think the mentality monsters thing, I think, is huge. When you're reading all the pieces in the build up to the game, and you're reading Andy Robertson talking about how much this team have to prove throughout the team, whether you've got Mohamed Salah, who we all know what happened to him last year in the final. You have Virgil van Dijk, who really has only won SPLs. He's not won anything of huge note that, you know, Champions Leagues. I don't think anyone's won the European Cup in this team. And you go right through the team, it's just loads of players that still have the hunger to win something big, and they still have to do that. And I think you're right, there's loads to prove. I just don't see a world where Virgil van Dijk comes off that pitch after the game and hasn't got the Champions League medal in his pocket. Same with Mohamed Salah after what happened last year. And you're right to mention Manny. Think of how many big goals and big games Manny scored, including that. Like, what a let-off that was last year, but it's just forgotten. And he'll want to, for Manny as well. Manny will want to experience that again. Manny will want to score another Champions League goal, but one that's always remembered and always watched. And those players will want to ensure that a night like Barcelona isn't sort of, isn't just in the history books as what a comeback and what a game at Anfield. That was the game that sort of set in motion Liverpool winning the 6th European Cup.
Excellent stuff. Listen, it's over to me on a bus with a pint to say now I think Spurs are going to line up. I'm on a bus, I'm drinking brandy, and I'm trying to channel the spirit of Pochettino to say what I think his Tottenham side is going to do against Liverpool this weekend's game. He's got tons of questions. It's dead interesting. I think our squad's well better than theirs, but I think he's actually got more questions as to which player he goes with. So, for instance, Davinson Sanchez will be unfortunate to miss out. He's had a good season. Vertonghen, Noah and Alderweireld are the centre-half partnership, but he could go 3 at the back. Does he want to go 3 at the back? Well, he went 3 at the back first half against Liverpool at Anfield, and second half when we went to Wembley and dominated them. So does he want to do that? Well, he changed it at half-time against Liverpool. He went to a back 4, put Danny Rose to left wing and pressed us back a little bit, and they were good for the first 20 minutes of the second half there, Tottenham. So he might decide that he's got to go 4 at the back, but if he goes 4 at the back, he doesn't like Trippier. He's not had a very good season at all, Trippier. Aurier's unlikely to be fit. Might he even go with Walker-Peters? I doubt that, but maybe he would. And then left back, it could be Davis, or it could be Danny Rose. And then you move into midfield, if we're going to say it's going to be 4 at the back, and then we're saying, well, is he going to go with 1 holder or 2? Will it be Wanyama and Sissoko? If that's the case, you can only pick 4 attackers. Would those 4 attackers be Moura, Eriksen, Ali and Son? But then he's got the Harry Kane question. This is my point all the way through this. All the time, Pochettino has got more questions than answers, whereas I think we're all pretty settled on what Jurgen Klopp's likely to do. That said, what do I actually literally expect? I wouldn't be surprised with Eric Lamela starting from the right-hand side to track Robertson early doors, but then that means he can only play 3 attacking players if he chooses to do that. I think he'll probably go with something that looks a little bit like Vertonghen, Alderweireld at centre-half, obviously the Lloris in goal, right back Trippier, left back I think he has to go with Rose, although Davis will be knocking on his door and will have a legitimate beef or complaint. He definitely plays Moussa Sissoko to do a lot of his heavy lifting, and I'm going to say it's irresponsible if he doesn't play Wanyama. And so from there then we've got to say, what does he move? What's his next move look like? I'm going to say he's going to feel like he's got to pick Kane from the start. I wouldn't, but I don't have to manage that dressing room and understand that dressing room and that team. So it's Kane, it's Son, it's Eriksen and it's Ali, and he'll try and keep a box in midfield, keep his fullbacks back, have them be responsible, have Wanyama and Sissoko working over there to cover them. That's what I think he'll do, but as I say, he's got a million questions. Bus life there, a little insight into it for you on this preview show. Liverpool's team, Ian, is one where I think there's maybe one place up for grabs. There might be some arguments around centre half, but I don't think Jurgen Klopp is bringing any surprises. I don't think he's not the sort of manager. His tactical masterstroke is done on the training ground and then run up to the game. I don't think it's in the selection.
No, and I think you did something with Sean Rodgers on the review. Preview, if you like, about the game, and Sean touched on Joe Gomez, and was there a selection dilemma there with Matip? For me, absolutely not, and Matip will start this football match. He deserves to start it. I think Joe Gomez is the future of this football club and will be a big part of it going forward, but Joe Matip will start next to Virgil van Dijk. The big selection question really is around midfield and what he does. It's 3 from 4. I hope it's Fabinho, I hope it's Henderson, and I hope it's Gini Wijnaldum, and that's nothing against James Milner, because he will have a part to play in this football match. He will be involved at some point, absolutely. I wouldn't be massively surprised if he did do something where maybe Fabinho didn't start, and that concerns me a little bit because I want him to start, but Jurgen believes and backs all of these boys, so it wouldn't really surprise you if it's any 3 from those 4, and then we know what it'll be like up top. It'll be your usual boys, and then I think the Spurs selection is one where you could really get into it in loads of detail, because their side is really up for grabs, to be honest.
I'll come back on that in a second. First, it is this midfield question, 3 from 4, Craig. I think we've sort of, in my head, I have sort of gone, well, it'll be Fabinho and Henderson, and then it's 2 battling for the other spot. That might not actually be the case, as Ian's just said. He could maybe play Wijnaldum or Henderson is the deeper role. I do think I think he's had minor concerns around Fabinho's energy levels across the course of 90 minutes a couple of times this season, and he may well think he'd rather have him towards the end of the game at his strongest. And I think with Milner, though, I think he might want Milner to be able to be introduced to the game as well, and then the idea that if it does go 120 minutes, he's got his best penalty taker. What do you think?
I would go with the 3 that Ian's gone. simply because I think I think Fabinho's been excellent since the turn of the year, and we've seen him play in the big games. He didn't start against Bayern, but he comes on after 10 minutes. We see him start against Barcelona, against Porto, and I think I like the idea of a James Milner coming on 70, no matter what the result is, whether he needs to change it like he did against Southampton, like him and Henderson come on, change it against Southampton, change the game, or whether you just need him to come on and be that calm head in a European Cup final. I think that what I would say around this is he could pick any three and I'd be behind him. I wouldn't be like, oh, why has he done that, why has he done this? I think there's a case for every single one of them, any sort of permutation between them all, but I would go with Fabinho, I'd go with Henderson, because Henderson's been fucking excellent over the past 2 months especially, and then I would go with Wijnaldum because look, we saw what he did in the semi-final, and again you can make the case that he comes off the bench and does that. That's what Jurgen Klopp says to him. He says to him, look what you done coming off the bench. But if I'm Wijnaldum, I want to start that game, and I go with that 3.
Up front, I think we're all going to just start Firmino. We're going to presume that he's fit and he's ready. I just don't see room for cleverness, if you almost know what I mean. I don't think we need cleverness. I think what we need is to do what we're good at. Do you agree with that?
100%. I think there's no doubt Firmino will start the game. Whether he's got 90 in him, whether he's got 120 in him, not so sure. The pictures that we're seeing, he looks like he's getting close, which is great. He's been kind of ruled in, so there's no issue with him starting as far as I can tell. Obviously Salah, Mane, without a doubt. I mean, they'll be the lads that Spurs are really worried about, because I think if you're looking at potential weaknesses, it's probably down that Spurs right hand side where Kieran Trippier's playing, and he's not having a great season. So Liverpool will be plotting and planning where they can get at this Spurs team, and that's definitely an area where they could expose them.
Phil Blundell's sent me a message on WhatsApp, which I know is a bit of a funny thing to say on a show like this, but he said he wonders whether or not that might actually persuade the manager towards Milner for midfield. The idea that you use that triangle of Robertson, Milner, Mane, really do Trippier's head in basically, and get them all playing. You've seen enough from that sort of the way in which that works. He used it. He mentioned the Michael Cox article, which talked about how Liverpool used Milner and Henderson and made the pitch absolutely massive against Barcelona, and again sort of got really made it a nightmare for the Barcelona right back that day and put him under a lot of pressure.
I think there's a case for that, but I think your point around the manager won't just be thinking about this game as being 90 minutes. He'd be thinking it could go 120, and therefore you want James Milner on for those penalties. He has to be one of those 5 penalty takers. I was thinking about it the other day, the penalty scenario. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, but it would worry me a little bit finding 5 good lads, and Milner would have to be one of those 5. So I think he starts on the bench. I certainly hope that's how it plans out anyway.
How excited are you? Genuinely, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I think it's going to be tremendous.
It's building now, isn't it? I mean, we're in board. I was chatting to a couple of Reds before when we were doing some of the content, and there's a general kind of feel of excitement now. We're on our way to Bilbao soon. It's going to get a little bit more in terms of excitement levels and stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about. And we did Kiev last year. It was great, and this has got all the makings of another great trip.
Into these Liverpool,
right some wrongs from last year. That's the thing. I think that last year we come out of it, and since then we've talked about Shevchenko Park, how great that day was, and we didn't get the result, but we had a great time. We had so much fun. I want to be leaving Madrid with the European Cup. That's what I want this year, and that's what the players all want too.
Have you had the greatest night out of your life yet? A question often asked at the Anfield wrap. When will you know? When will it have occurred? What will be the greatest night out of your life? There is every chance that if Liverpool lift their 6th European Cup on Saturday and Sunday,
Monday, Tuesday,
the greatest night out of your life. Enjoy it all with us. Thanks to Ian, thanks to Craig. See you later.